We've come a long way, and the only thing really left is to show you how you can morph between different tracks. To demonstrate that, I've replaced the two bacills with two mofos because I know them better, and made some variations of the sounds. So our Dalai preset now sounds like this. Then on main page 2, I stored Deliri with our Deliri Sun preset with 3 different sounds. And also changed the mixer settings for snare and the lead sound, and it sounds like this. You see a different drum kit also, which is really just a variation of the same drum sounds. Then the triple mode now, here you see a slower BPM, and I made a Sun preset called Dub for this preset. Again, different mixer settings, different sounds. I'll just set patch gate and mix gate to change only, so we don't waste any resources. You see here it changes very quickly between Dub and Deliri because the drum set is the same, and with Dalai just slightly longer because it has a new drum set. Besides from that, there's not really many changes. You see the header preset, which I had a division control on, I've turned into 4 distinct presets, so I can go straight to a distinct division factor. And the mod offset here, I've changed of course to the mofo, and also stored 3 different offsetting presets for the different sounds. So you see here in Dalai it uses preset 3 and 1, and in Deliri it uses preset 4 and 2. The rest of the controls remain the same, so our duration scale, time morphing and so on is shared by all 3 tracks. And the only thing left really is to look at what we can do with this master channel here, which is equipped with mixer effects and bandpass filters and an audio looper. So let's start by recording an audio loop. The controls both look and work a lot like the MIDI loopers, the 3 main buttons being record, start and stop, and overdub and play, start and stop. So I click on record and it's recording. Just as with the MIDI loopers, you can also see that overdub and play state is displayed on, and it also synchronizes to either bar or beat, depending on choice. So I click again, and here we go. As soon as the loop starts playing, you see the master channel switches to solo. So even though the real-time audio is playing up here, we're only hearing the loop. But if I turn these tracks off and then division to 4, I could bring in the faster hi-hat and snare from the real-time audio. I could then of course turn down the main audio like this to remove the snare and hi-hat. Or here I could turn down the loop. Both the looper and the main audio also have their own bandpass filters with their own independent graphs shown on top of each other here. You see, as I turn on the filter for the looper, it turns red. And I then have control over the frequency and the Q factor, how narrow to filter the audio. With spec on, you see that the displayed spectrum is also affected by the filters. The main audio's filter is green, as you can see here. And with both of them on, I can then independently filter and play around as I like. So you can stop the main audio here, having only the loop play, and then start it again, which synchronizes to the beat, making it very easy to do. I'm just going to stop both the main audio and the looper, so we can have a look at how to set this up with MIDI controllers. The bandpass filters, for example, can only be used with the MIDI controller. Inside MIDI control, you can see here first the mix master and then solo, which is the solo switch here. Then again, mix master but level, which is of course main level here, and then loop level, which was the one down there. The rest of the looper controls are in the MIDI implementation that I'm currently using, but you can find them here. Rec, overdub, start, undo, which lets you undo the last overdub, level, time switch, and clear. Time switch is fun and quite important, and I'll just demonstrate that. But, oh, actually I wanted to start the looper. There we go. And then you see if I turn down the tempo, it doesn't change anything at all for the looper. So I could play the main audio with a different tempo, but with time switch on, it will do classical pitch time stretching. I'll just stop that again and go back into MIDI control. So yeah, that is all in the MIDI implementation, and the rest is found in the sys category, latch share being quite fun, which I'll show later. Here we have the mixer effects for toggle and send, which you can see here, toggle and send on the first and the second. We'll get to that in a bit. And then here we have the bandpass filters. First the toggles. Again, you can see the green one and the red one for the looper. And the frequency, I need to change the Q factor a little bit. There you see. I can now change the frequency. And have them both moving around like this. You see for both the frequency and the Q factor there are two possibilities. One is linear and lets you set up a linear range from 0 to 14,000. The other is exponential and will give you a nice smooth full range simply by using the default range from 0 to 127. And I'm using those, EXP. Then here we have tempo lock and tempo gate, which we discussed before. And I can toggle that with a MIDI controller here. And then tempo lock, which is before the tempo gate. So see here, everything changes, but with tempo gate off, it won't. I could have chosen tempo dia, and now it will change regardless. So there is an entry for that for anyone who might need it. I'll just turn back to tempo lock and get on with it. To clear using the mouse, you would click here, and it is recommended to clear before you record a new loop. The switch down here is to switch between bar and beat synchronization, just like with the MIDI looper here, and actually also here with the step modules. And now let's look at the mixer effect module. So I'll click here on MFX to open up its window. And you will see something that is very similar to the other modules, letting you choose two effects plus their presets. So I'll recall a preset here that I stored already, and you can see that you can choose whether they should work as an insert or send effect. When send is used, the send amount is seen here, and you can also choose here if it should affect the main audio or not. And as written, for the main audio it will always work as a send. So let's see what we can do with that. I'll just take the two filters back to their default position and start the loop. Here's the delay I have in the second slot, and there are big crazy reverb. Then both together along with some filtering to bring in the hi-hat and snare with great exaggeration. I'll just filter out the snare, because what is even more fun of course is to bring in a different track with new sounds. So stop the main audio and then turn off tempo gate. I click 3 here to go to dub, and then I click the left arrow key to start out with the same sun preset as we were just using. Turn the main volume all the way down, and then start the sequencer again. I can then bring in the dub set as it is playing in the same tempo and with the same tonality as the delivery set. Now of course I'm free to stop the sun and play around freely on the keyboard. Then switch the sun to dub and start it again. Then I'll turn tempo gate back on and then take the tempo down. Here's the latch button in action as I'm increasing the feedback on our old delay. And then latch back off. I'll just stop the looper and turn the snare off and also clear the looper. and then I'm going to record another loop. Playing a little bit with our division factor. There we go, and the filter is already on. I didn't think of that. So just go back to normal. Filter out. So now when I bring in the snare again, I want to show that with time switch on, I can then play around with the tempo and have our loop and our sequence part with the snare playing together. And I hadn't noticed, but I also left the two mofos on, giving us a harmonic doubling effect. With great exaggeration, of course. You also see here that when time switch is on, when I stop and start the sequencer, the looper will follow. Here at the end of the tutorial, there's a couple of notes especially related to mixing sets together that I haven't addressed so far. The first being that this fourth VST slot on the master channel is placed after the mixer effects and looper. For limiting purposes, you see I have a loud max here taking only just the spikes. Second, these solo and mute states are not remembered by the mixer presets, and neither are the main level and main output port, since remembering these things would easily get you into trouble when jamming. Finally, the MFX preset is not remembered by the main page preset for the same reason, and if one particular VST effect preset is not changed when recalling another MFX preset, it is not loaded, allowing you to play with one effect as you are changing the other. And as an extra note of caution, not all VST effects are happy about changing presets like this as the music is playing. The reason I was flipping back and forth between presets using epic verb and nasty delay is that I noticed that these cause clicks both when loaded and unloaded, whereas ZRev and ETAP that I'm changing presets on now, and most plugins in general, work just fine. The clicking from epic verb and nasty delay was not audible in the file recorded to disk, but seems otherwise quite permanent and is sad since they are wonderful free plugins, and I hope the problem will be solved. But it is a matter of trial and error to find out just how much your system can handle, since you're basically asking the computer to load a completely new song with new instruments, new effects and new sequences as the music is playing. Still, when staying away from plugins that cause problems, I've been able to do quite a lot with just a single core laptop.